Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to show you a solution to our pyramid problem. You'll notice right off the bat that I numbered these so that we can sort of see what we're talking about. And you'll notice that in my table that I drew, I kind of broke it down into three different things. It's a little bit of a complex table, but it helps me see what's going on. I've got the visible tiles or squares, I've got the hidden cubes, and then the total number of cubes in each layer. My layers are numbered across the top, so that's kind of clear to see. And I've actually gone and color coded them so we can see exactly which ones we're talking about. So this is pretty detailed, and it really helps me make sense of what I'm doing here. I didn't actually know the solution to this when I gave it to you. One of the things I noticed was that there was a little bit of a pattern, and we can kind of see the pattern here as we go. Well, the very first one was 1. That was pretty easy because that's very visible. It's 100% visible. But number 2, the second row, the black ones, were a little bit tricky because they're a bit of an anomaly. This one doesn't fit the rest of the pattern. And we'll see that in a minute. It does not fit. The 9 doesn't fit. The reason it doesn't fit is because it's the only layer that actually is completely filled in. So there's 8 tiles or 8 cubes visible, and there's 1 hidden. If we move to the third layer, the yellow layer, there is 16 visible and 8 hidden underneath. Now, one of the things you'll notice right off the bat is we know which ones are hidden because the cube that is sitting, or the layer that's sitting on top of it, is sitting on the hidden cubes. And so we can know how many are hidden just by looking at the next layer above it. So we get a little bit of a pattern going starting with 24. So if I was to say my pattern rule here, I could say that my pattern rule is going to be start at 24, and we'll see how we can fill in the rest in a minute. So what we've got is we've got 16 visible, 8 that are hidden for a total of 24. If we move to the fourth layer, the pink layer, we now have 24 visible, 16 hidden, because 16 was the size of the layer above it, and a total of 40. We'll move to the next one. Now we have 32 visible, 24 hidden, and again, you can kind of look back along all of these here to see that the number hidden is exactly the same size as the layer before it. We can also see here that starting at 24, we're starting to get a pattern. Each time, we're going up by 16. We're going up exactly by 16 each time. 56 to 72. So I haven't actually filled in the last row. I haven't filled in the red ones, but the red ones are pretty easy to fill in because I can see that this pattern is pretty straightforward. We're starting at 24, and we are adding adding 16 each time. So there's our pattern rule. And I can go back here and I can figure this out pretty quickly too, because I can then sort of figure out, well, this, I don't even have to look at this. This is clearly going to be 48. And you'll notice here that going this way, all of these are going up by 8, and so are these ones. So we've got, if I go up by 8 on the visible layer here, I'm going to have 56, and I can check to make sure that this makes sense. I can check to make sure that my reasoning is good, because I can check and see that 56 plus 48, well, 6 plus 8 is 14, and 10, the 14 makes 10 on this side here, so 10 plus 50 plus 40 is 100, 104. So my reasoning there is accurate. One of the mistakes some students made is that when they added up the total along the bottom, their addition wasn't accurate. Some people also put in 8 here because they didn't realize that it was actually the only one that filled in, and it didn't actually fit the pattern. So one of the areas where people went wrong is in this addition down along the bottom. And if you add up this total bottom row here, you're going to come up with a total of 396. So this is looking, oh, I don't want to do that because that's going to make things not look so good. We'll add another sheet here in a moment. But at any rate, you're going to need to make sure that your answer is clear. 396 cubes. And I'm just going to make sure that people know that this is my answer right here. I don't have a whole lot of room. Hopefully yours is a little bit neater. But I want to make sure that people know what my answer is. So I'm just going to put in a little label here with an arrow. And I'm going to put up here, I'm going to circle this so people know that this is my pattern rule and it's really, really clear. One of the things that's really interesting with any of these layers, if you started counting them, is that two of the sides were exactly the same, on the visible ones anyway, and the other two sides were the same. Or you could sometimes go like on this one, this would be 8 by 8 by 8 by 8 on the other side, and we'd still get the same answer here. So no matter how you counted or how you figured out the visible layers, you should be able to figure out some sort of strategy or method to come up with the numbers, the total number of visible ones. But at any rate, this is a pretty detailed table. This is maybe a little bit more detailed than many of you did. But those of you who did really, really well on this, you got this part and it was really visible and you were able to figure out that there was a pattern. People who didn't do as well, they didn't actually go and notice the pattern, and if they looked at it carefully, they would have seen that there was one or two that didn't fit their pattern. And that should be the clue to you that you don't have it correct or that your adding isn't all that well done. So ladies and gentlemen, that is Act 3 to our pyramid problem. Stay tuned for Act 1 of the tower problem.